For a very long time, we have been all debating about whether or not Justin Trudeau is going to stay or is he going to go. I know Warren Kinsella still maintains that he is going to go before the next federal election, but Lorrie, I maintain that he's going to still stay on. But it may not be up to our brilliant political commentary or assessment of the current Liberal Party of Canada. There are a number of Liberal MPs that want him gone, and now they are prepared to go public. Hello, I am Adrienne Batra. With me are Lorrie Goldstein and Warren Kinsella. Okay, Warren, I gave you the call out because we go back and forth on this, staying, going. I know Canadians want an election now, and the vast majority have said we want this guy gone. We want a change in direction of this country and policy and all the things. That seems baked in. But now we have some Liberal MPs who are actually putting their name forward. Normally it's sources familiar with, that sort of background information. But some Liberal MPs are saying, no, we're going public. We are putting our names to this. And finally, we actually have some MPs from across the country that are saying, Mr. Trudeau, it's time for you to go. So what's going on here?
Yeah, there's a couple of them from Atlantic Canada. There's one from Quebec who have attached their names to it. And, that is what you're supposed to do. If you believe something, you should attach your name to it. But, there's this mysterious letter that's been floating around like a ghost. And, like ghosts, a lot of us just haven't seen it. The Globe and Mail is reporting this morning that it's down to 20 names. It previously was 30. I've talked to some members of the Liberal caucus, and they've said to me, haven't seen the letter, won't sign the letter, it won't work. And I think on that point, they are right. I've worked for a prime minister, Mr. Chrétien, who was being pushed out by the thugs of Mr. Martin. And it blew up in their faces. My experience with prime ministers is it's like physics. If you push too hard, they will push back with a greater opposite force. And, that's been the case pretty much with every leader. They are right when they say, the membership voted for me, the people voted for me, and it's not up to just caucus to decide when it's time for me to go. So I think, this caucus group, 20, 30, however big they are, it's not going to work, because I think the thing we know about Trudeau is he's pretty stubborn, and he actually likes a challenge. I make a joke about him being the incredible Hulk of Canadian politics. Whenever he encounters anger and opposition, he adds muscle mass, he draws strength from it. So I think, the way to let him go, and I do believe he's going to go, is to just take a look around the environment like his father did, like John Turner did, like all of them do. I think what he's waiting for is the presidential. And if 3 weeks' time Donald Trump gets returned to power, I think Justin Trudeau is going to be inclined to stick around. If Trump gets defeated, I think Mr. Trudeau is going to go.
Well, that's an interesting way to approach it, Lorrie, because we certainly know that if former President Trump does become the 47th president, Trudeau is going to want to stick that to Pierre Poilievre and say, this is just going to be Trump light, Trump in Canada, all of those sorts of things. Even though the polls in the United States are pretty much dead even, where there are millions of Americans that are prepared to go back to where they were under Donald Trump. But that said, I think that the fact that maybe there are even a couple of dozen of these Liberal MPs, whatever the number is, want to go public, that's a bigger step than what has happened in the past. Normally, the Trudeau and his team around him have been able to squash any of that sort of rumbling. Something feels different this time. Maybe these MPs feel a little bit more emboldened. I'd like to note one reporting of this story. It says that they need the Prime Minister's staff to leave the room, and so it can be just the caucus, the MPs that have this conversation or whatever they want to have with Trudeau. But from your perspective, does this make a difference? Does it give Trudeau any pause if they do finally come public and say you got to go?
I don't think so. The great Florentine political strategist Machiavelli advised courtiers, if you're going to kill the king, make sure you do it with the first blow.
Mhm.
That has not happened here. And remember that there was a minor uproar months ago where the same thing happened. Just think of the ludicrousness of this. Polls have shown for more than a year that the Liberals, when there's an election, are going to be obliterated. In that context, I don't care whether Trudeau runs or not. And to be fair to him, it's his choice. That's how their party set it up. They don't have a system like other parties, including the Conservative Party, that the members of caucus, and like happens in Great Britain, where the caucus can decide the leader has to go. So Liberals, you made your own nest. If you think that, and also I just think a lot of this is just, it's not principle. They're scared about their jobs. A lot of them figure if Trudeau doesn't run, maybe I can survive, right? And others are just bailing out. They're just, more time with the family, blah, 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 blah. So I'm really not enmeshed in the inner workings of the Liberal Party. They don't talk to me. I don't talk to them. And neither is care. I wish that the Prime Minister would make up his mind either way, because we have serious stuff to deal with. We talk about it every day. Foreign interference, housing affordability, the cost of living. And this to me it's an Ottawa story, right? Pierre Trudeau, the father, once said that 50 yards outside of Parliament Hill, opposition MPs, it became every MPs are nobodies. And to me, well, that's true. That's just true. The powers in the PMO and the Justin Trudeau. So just I think Warren proposed this, and I agree with him. A clever strategy for papers like The Sun would be to start doing stories praising Trudeau. He has a great legacy. He's done wonderful things. He has put his stamp on things like childcare and pharmacare. Better in the pandemic than Donald Trump. Certainly true to his vision of big spending and wealth redistribution. Take the win. Take the win and go, and let the rest of us get on with the serious business of.
Maybe I'll save that one for the front page of April 1st, 2025, like, as an April Fool's joke too.
It wasn't me. I said, well, that's brilliant.
Well, since we're all giving each other credit, I think, Lorrie posted on X just a few days ago a photo of Justin Trudeau's wedding party, and with the simple statement, "Whoever thought it was a good idea to let the government of Canada be run by your wedding party?" And I find it interesting because I don't think that most Canadians realize just how many of Trudeau's inner circle, like the inner circle, are longtime friends, and not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just these are a group of individuals who've simply just sat around and told them for over 9 years, what you're doing is great, everything is fine. It's the Canadians will come back when the next election. At the end of the day, they will vote for us. How do you square that though now, Justin, with Justin Trudeau? Like, how do you be his longtime friend, what part of his wedding party, sitting around his cabinet table and say, things are fine, Justin, don't worry about it? Warren, how do you square that?
Well, one of the things Mr. Chrétien told me when I worked for him, I think I was having a bad day, and he cheered me up and he said, "Young man, if you leave this business with 3 good friends, you're a very lucky person." Mm-hmm. And, I think that's why you never really heard stories about Stephen Harper feathering the nest for his buddies, or, hanging out with them and giving them contracts, as in the Wee scandal, or his family members getting contracts and the same thing. Like, it was just a different approach with people like Chrétien and with Harper. And, here's a little scoop. I can't reveal my source, but it's very revealing about Harper and then Trudeau, our last 2 prime ministers. Harper, when he would come home in the evening, he'd have all his briefing books. So he'd have homework for himself. He'd read them. So he'd be ready for cabinet. And he would say to the staff, including the chef and the servers and all that, "Go home to your families. Like, I'm here with my family. Thank you very much for putting this nice dinner together for us. Please go home." Trudeau shows up with 10, 15, 20 buddies and expects all of the staff to stick around to the wee hours serving him. And, you know, that's kind of how he's treated the country, you know, where he once famously said, you know, a prime minister is just a figurehead. And it's like, no, Justin, actually, that's not the case at all. We entrust you with enormous power, more power in a way than a US president has, to make important decisions that affect our lives. And I don't know if it's fair to say he's lost touch with that. I don't think he ever understood that you know, making a decision about the carbon tax, like it may be a good idea to penalize polluters, but it has made food more expensive. It has made life more expensive. Or, you know, the choices he's made on Israel, where he just, you know, issues some tweets and he's kind of trying to be both sides. That has real consequences for Jewish Canadians who have been deeply hurt by the fact that their government, the government that they pay for, no longer represents them. There are many examples like that where Justin just doesn't seem to get it. And now it's caught up with him. He's been there for more than 10 years as a Liberal leader. He's been there almost 10 years as Prime Minister. And, you know, all of us get it. It's time for him to go. Question is whether he does.
Well, Lorrie, last word to you. The shine wore off a long time ago, and Canadians saw just how unserious this Prime Minister was. He's more interested in having fancy socks than he was about serious public policy issues that are facing Canada. We have not been heralded by our allies around the world like we used to. We've been left out of many national security related issues. And quite frankly, the glossy magazine covers are nowhere to be found anymore. I wonder if he recognizes that he likely will leave office as the most despised politician in Canadian history. I mean, that's pretty incredible thing to strive for, considering how his father left office. But this is his reality now, where you could potentially see the Liberal Party of Canada, the once natural governing party of this country, relegated to third party status. It's possible. Things can change. It's a year away. I understand that. But that's where things stand right now. Lorrie, last word to you.
Yeah, Warren's description of Trudeau, of himself as a figurehead, it's absolutely accurate. If you recall, the Conflict of Interest Commissioner in the Agagon case said, based on the testimony of Justin Trudeau, that Justin Trudeau believes he's a facilitator. He believes his job is to get everybody into the room, get everybody talking, and then he leaves, and others make the decision. And that was the finding of the Conflict of Interest Commissioner, finding him guilty of violating the Conflict of Interest Act in the Agagon affair. And the other way I would put it is that the Roman Empire, when their generals would return home from great victories and they would tour the city in their chariots, there would always be a slave at the ear of the general as he's being lauded by the crowd, warning him, this is transitory. This isn't going to last forever. You know, the empire has to survive. You don't. I don't think Justin Trudeau has ever had anyone like that. No person who can say to him things like, stop it, what you're doing. What are you doing in the Mideast here? You got these mixed messages and all that. You're not clear about where your stand is. And to me, part of that goes back to, yeah, having your wedding party run the country. It causes problems.
Well, Canada, seems like he's going to stay, but so many of us want him to go. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And go to the TorontoSun.com. You'll find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.